And welcome back to another episode of Lifting, Life, and everything else in between. I'm Kevin, this is Billy.
Hello.
And today's topic, what is it?
So today's topic is going to be, where do you find the willpower to just keep going? Where does that come from? The discipline that successful bodybuilders talk about.
Look, bodybuilders aside, successful people, period.
That's true, actually. Successful people, period.
That's a tough one because I think willpower is... People rely on willpower too much.
Yes,
That's my 2 cents.
Yes.
First and foremost. It comes from habit. Just habitual actions that comes into routine, turns into routines, and that slowly translates into lifestyle. And as soon as you're having fun, reaping the rewards, you just keep on going. That's a brief synopsis of what I believe.
Yeah. How I like to look at it is, habit is kind of like not a shortcut, but a end result to where you don't, once you have that habit, you don't need willpower anymore.
Yeah. So how does these habitual actions, how do they come to fruition?
So I don't know if you've heard the common saying, it takes 21 days to form a habit. Bullshit. And the extension to that is, it takes 90 days to form a lifestyle.
Bullshit.
You reckon? Well,
Yes.
I think whatever the time frame is, there is some truth that it takes a while. You have to do it over and over again. It takes repetition for it to become a habit.
The idea behind 21 days, 90 days, or those numbers that you just spat out, the ideas behind it, completely true. It doesn't come overnight, guys.
Yeah.
It doesn't come overnight. And I think that's the message that Billy is trying to express. I've read somewhere where it takes 18 months, and that I'm more inclined to say that's true, because habits are hard to form.
Yeah.
I don't see it forming in 21 days. How about you?
It can if you're devoted to something, but there are, for example, let's say relapse. So if you're an alcoholic and you're trying to become sober, you could be sober for 21 days, you could be sober for 90 days, but you can't say that you are completely cured. You could accidentally have a drink, and from there crash and end up back at square one.
Yeah. So just back to the main question. How do you think these habits form?
How are they formed? They're formed through just minor adjustments to how you conduct yourself.
Yeah, fair enough. Can you give me an example?
Yeah, so let's say you want to build the habit of going to the gym. Don't set yourself a goal of becoming a 5 times a week gym visitor. That's a bit too big, it's a bit too unrealistic. Now for some people they'll be able to do that, but for most of us, I think starting off with one day, and not even going hard out on that one day, just getting there to the gym and going through the motions if you have to.
Yeah, fair enough.
Once you can do that easily, going once a week, then you can look to add in an extra day or two.
Yeah, I do like that analogy there, where you're trying to express, celebrate the small wins, build on those small steps.
Yeah.
I get where you're coming from. I believe to build habits, one needs to have a clear goal, a clear vision towards what they want. And they have to have a reason of why they want it.
Yeah.
So what I kind of did not like about your example is that person who might have an audacious goal of 5 days a week. I would never try to undercut that goal, because maybe that's what they want. Maybe they want their goal so bad enough that it's got to be done.
Yeah. Eventually, you want to be that kind of person 5, 6 times. You want to be healthy, you want to be active.
I agree.
Um, I think I was trying to explain that to get there, you're going to burn out if you just start off at going 5 days a week.
Burnout is definitely a possibility. It's definitely a possibility. However, I try to think of burnout as something you can't work through it, but is burnout an overused excuse? How often does one actually burn out?
Yeah, I'm not sure.
One's capabilities is much larger than we give it credit for.
Yeah.
It's just an easy way to tap out.
I think I've used that excuse actually a couple of times just to explain myself. Oh, I didn't work today. I'm burnt out.
Yeah, fair.
Yeah, so that is the case. But to go back to my example of going once a day, once a week, even that requires a bit of willpower. So I think there are other ways. There are other ways to motivate yourself to go to the gym. And one off the top of my head is to shape your environment in a way that makes it easier to go. So have you heard of the phrase, take the path of least resistance?
Take the path of least resistance. Sounds familiar, but go ahead, explain, please.
So it's human nature to be lazy. We want to do what's easiest. So if you make going to the gym the easier of all your options, the easiest option out of all the options you have, you will be more likely to do it, and it's not going to require discipline, willpower, whatever it is. So I'll give you an example of shaping your environment. If you fill up your pantry with junk food, snacks, crisps, whatever it is, versus if you stocked it up with fruits, veggies, and just whole foods, which environment are you more likely to eat a more healthy diet?
Yeah, I definitely see where you're coming from. Definitely the one with whole foods. You're right.
Yeah. Now, for going to the gym, this isn't a realistic example, but let's say you had a group of 10 people. Actually, this is realistic to group classes. Let's say there's a group of 10, 20 people, and you are friends with all of them. Now, you've been going, you've started making friends, and a few weeks into it, is it going to be easier for you to keep going or to pull out and then have to explain to them why you're not going anymore?
Yeah, you're not wrong there. I really liked your analogy of the pantry and the foods, which totally makes sense. At first, I was inclined to say I don't agree with the path of least resistance method, just because I believe with pain, there is gain.
Yeah.
With suffering, there is gain. Like, there is something to learn.
Yeah.
And that's why I'm a firm believer of if you want something enough, it will be done.
Yeah.
And once you set up that goal, you try to write down the steps that you can do in order to achieve that goal.
Yeah.
And each day you just build on. See the rewards, see the benefits, and rewards become addicting. Results become addicting, and that's how I build my habits, at least. And one more mention about the habits: when you brought out the alcoholic example, a strong support system is needed.
Yeah, for sure.
Like, just positive reinforcement, encouragement, people that surround yourself with like-minded people.
Yeah. If you surround yourself with people that are trying to get you to drink again, that are trying to get you to party, you're more likely going to relapse.
100%.
Versus if you surround yourself with a group of, let's just say, fitness nuts that are all about their protein shakes, you're less likely going to be drinking alcohol.
Totally right. And this ties in to your group class example, where if you surround yourself with people who are on the same journey, that habit is more likely to flourish.
Yeah, it's just easier. Just easier. I think for me, when I train alone versus when I train with you, I go harder and it's so much easier to get to the gym. Now, the reason for that is because you don't want to dog the boys.
I see where you're coming from. I see where you're coming from, but would you want this habit to be self-sustaining?
Ideally, your motivations are intrinsic and they come from within. But I've just found using both internal and external motivators to be the most effective.
Fair enough. Fair enough. Now I can't really speak on how my habit at the gym formed, but I can say that I won't skip, and unless I'm dog sick.
Yeah.
Even if you don't go, I've gone. I've gone before.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I'm trying to just reflect back real quick, guys. So I just think if I don't go, I'm doing myself a disservice.
Yeah.
So to make something a habit, I guess you kind of feel guilty that you don't do it. I mean, stress comes from knowing what to do, but not doing it.
Yeah. Knowing something has to be done and that it's not getting done.
Yeah, that's where stress comes from, I think. Stress comes from
What's
knowing what's right and doing what's wrong.
Yeah.
But back onto the habit building. So, what habit are you trying to build right now?
One of the habits that I'm trying to build is to read more.
Oh wow, yeah, that's the example I was going to give too. How's that going for you?
There are days that I skip. There are sometimes if I skip enough, I just forget that I should be reading.
Yeah, fair enough.
And I might forget for an entire week, 5 days, 6 days,
Yeah.
and the week after. At the end of the week, I reflect and I go, oh, hang on, I forgot to do that.
Yeah, fair enough, fair enough. So, if you don't mind me asking, what is your goal out of this? What is your goal from reading?
Just to learn more. I think there's so much out there that books can teach us. A couple of quotes that I remember from over the years is, the man who doesn't read has no advantage over the man who can't read.
Yeah, that's something. Yeah, I vaguely do remember that.
Yep. So there's that, and there's another quote that goes something like, all of the solutions to our problems can be found in books.
Yeah.
I forget where that came from.
That's a good one. That's a good one. So that's a really good why. How's it measurable?
By reading books and absorbing the knowledge.
Yeah, fair enough. So I haven't spoken about my goal for reading, but my goal is in a month I want to complete 2 books.
Yeah.
Now I'm on my 4th book and it's the first week of February, so I'm ahead of schedule. So because of my, in a sense, competitive nature against myself, wanting to better myself every day, it drives me to keep reading, to keep getting better. And how I cue myself from doing that and making it a habit is making a to-do list and prioritizing it really high because it means that much to me. And I block out a certain time to do it.
Yeah.
And hopefully that habit will build. And so far I don't miss many days reading. Ideally it would be no days, but sometimes it just can't be helped.
Yeah. There's this idea that I learned from a YouTube video, I believe, that goes something like, if you want to build a new habit, couple it with an existing habit. So for example,
Interesting.
if you have a habit of drinking a cup of coffee every morning, and you want to, let's say, add the habit of reading the newspaper every day, you could read your newspaper with your coffee whilst you're drinking your coffee, And if you try to do it that way, then just drinking the coffee becomes the cue to remind you to read the newspaper.
Okay, I see what you mean. I see what you mean. So let's try to relate this back to the gym goers.
Yeah.
How would you build the habit of going to the gym?
One way could be to find a gym partner with similar goals.
Yeah, for sure. That is one way. Now that is quite hard.
Yeah.
That is quite hard because
Not everyone can find a gym partner.
yeah, exactly, and it's hard to find someone on your level, and that's where I feel as though you're more likely to sustain your habits. Something that's worked for my clients is I tell them to pack their bags before they go to work. For those people that go to the gym after. Another one is I tell them to lay out their clothes the night before, so they look at it. That's the cue to go.
Yeah.
That's the cue to go, and then the reward after is yes, I didn't miss a day. I feel good.
Yeah.
I feel as though there has to be a reward after the habit that you're forming, like some sort of self-fulfillment, some sort of intrinsic reward.
Yeah. Just to reinforce the behavior.
Yeah, so let's tie it back to our book reading goal. What I do, sorry?
What is the reward?
My reward is intrinsically, I know I learned something today,
Yeah.
and I write down what I've learned. That's one reward. A more, I guess, extrinsic motivator is I write down what books I've read this year, and seeing that slowly tally up is quite rewarding.
Yeah, building a list or just a history of evidence of good behavior, I think, is very rewarding to review over the years, like as time goes by.
Yeah, I agree. Something that I've done and I didn't even realize it is journaling. So I've been journaling straight now for more than a year, maybe 2 years, and just looking at how many pages of paper that I've filled in with ink, that in itself is really rewarding. And just, I don't know, seeing that I never thought of myself as a gifted writer.
Yeah.
Still probably not. But the fact that I'm writing shows that I have the ability to write.
Yeah. And just to go off topic a little bit, Jordan Peterson, one of the things that he said was the ability to write is one of the most lethal and effective skills to have as a human being, because then you can communicate your ideas to
Yeah, for sure.
to a greater number of people and to just achieve a lot of things
For sure.
together.
The pen is mightier than sword. The pen is mightier than sword, as an old saying goes. And just to delve down a bit deeper in the rabbit hole, a book I recently read said the human's ability to write was how we transported messages amongst one another really quick, like how we relayed messages amongst one another really quick, and that allowed us to congregate as communities, spread ideas, spread religion, spread ideologies, make people connect with one another, and that's why we have the advantage over our old ancestors who didn't know how to write, didn't know how to communicate, and for a more blatant example, it's why we have the advantage over animals.
Yeah.
Who they can communicate with one another, but how can pig A in Australia communicate with pig B
They can't work together.
in Canada? Yeah, they can't work together, and that comes down with writing. Anyways, off on a tangent, guys. My apologies for that. Hope you guys got something from our habits talk today. Habits and willpower, they're all tied in together. Just make it a routine, guys, and reap the benefits. Look forward to the habit that you're building.
Yeah.
Look forward to the result that it gives off.
Yeah. And find the positive side of everything that you're doing.
For sure. Anyways, guys, help us by subscribing, liking the video, because it'll help us oh so much next time.